after 300 Romanian mercenaries fighting for the Democratic Republic of Congo government of President Felix Tshisekedi surrendered to the M23 rebels after they overran the border city of Goma following a 2-year siege. It turns out that the Romanian mercenaries who surrendered to the UN forces in Goma to be active police officers, gendarmes, and military personnel who were on sick leave. According to the Interior Ministry, 8 gendarmes and 3 policemen have traveled to the Congo in recent years, working for private security companies. The Ministry of Defense investigation discovered that 7 other servicemen were doing the same. The gendarmerie and police have already submitted materials to the prosecutor's office to open criminal cases. The law prohibits current law enforcement officers from working as mercenaries in another country while under contract with the Interior Ministry. State Secretary Bogdan Despescu reported that some of them had access to classified information, but it is yet unknown what the level of access was. The checks are ongoing, and the number of people involved is likely to increase. At the end of January, 300 mercenaries, including Romanian citizens who had been hired by the government of the Democratic Republic of Congo to counter the offensive of the Rwandan-backed M23 rebels, turned themselves in. Finding themselves in a desperate situation, they surrendered to UN peacekeeping troops in Goma. They were later transported home through Rwanda. The Congo engaged Ajamira RDC, a subsidiary of a Bulgarian firm to provide logistics and Congo protection, led by a former French Foreign Legion soldier, to provide training. Russia has agreed to provide weapons and training for the joint forces of the military junta of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. According to Bloomberg, the Kremlin will engage military instructors already working in these countries. Russia is ready to contribute to the joint forces of the Alliance of Sahelian States, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov claimed, emphasizing the need to equip the trilateral armed forces. He added that Russian experts could help develop and equip these forces with specific weapons and equipment. Moscow is using the instability in the region caused by coups and Islamist uprisings to increase its influence. It relies on popular discontent with Western intervention and French policy. The French armed forces operated in Mali between 2013 and 2022 as part of Operations Serval and Barkhane, countering illegal armed groups, including ISIS, which tried to seize power. In 2023, the 3 Sahelian countries signed a mutual defense pact. Paramilitary groups linked to the Kremlin appeared in Mali in 2021 and later in Burkina Faso and Niger. Some of these personnel were later replaced by troops from the African Corps as Moscow consolidated control over the Wagner Group's business network in Africa following the death of its founder, Yevgeny Prigozhin. On February 6th, it was reported that unknown forces in Mali ambushed a VPK Ural armored vehicle of Russian mercenaries. The attack was reportedly performed using a remote-activated explosive device. It is not clear who organized the ambush. It could have been either Azawadi rebels or Al-Qaeda militants. The crew of the armored vehicle survived, but the VPK Ural suffered damage to the chassis, armor plate, and hull. At present, the local indigenous population, with the support of Western countries, is resisting Russian mercenaries and the pro-Russian government of Mali. And back to Ukraine. Newly released satellite images show that Russia is racing to build a vessel that dwarfs the Moskva missile cruiser, the flagship of the Black Sea Fleet destroyed by Ukraine in the early days of the war. Ukrainian military publication Defense Express published satellite images showing the progress Russia is making on one of its 2 Project 23900 Ivan Rogov-class amphibious assault ships. These vessels are reportedly capable of carrying up to 90 pieces of military equipment, including 15 helicopters. The destruction of the Moskva dealt an embarrassing blow to Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Ivan Rogov-class vessel currently under construction is reported to be much larger, suggesting Moscow aims to restore its naval credibility amid a string of losses suffered by the Black Sea Fleet in the war. The Moskva sank shortly after Ukraine claimed to have struck the vessel with missiles in 2022, inflicting substantial damage. At the time, Russia dismissed Ukraine's claims, attributing the incident instead to a fire on board that triggered an ammunition explosion. Russia is behind schedule in building its Ivan Rogov-class ship, which was laid down at the Zaliv shipyard in Kerch in the annexed Crimean Peninsula in July 2020. Defense Express reported that based on recent satellite imagery, the vessel will be about 220 meters in length and 40 meters wide. At that time, the ship's hull was only beginning to take shape, meaning that Russians have significantly advanced this project in less than a year, Defense Express said. According to the outlet, the Ivan Rogov-class amphibious assault ship surpasses the Moskva cruiser in size and capability. The Ivan Rogov, with an estimated displacement of 30,000 tons, can accommodate up to 900 Marines and operate 75 pieces of combat equipment, 3 smaller landing aircraft, and 15 helicopters, including K-29 and Ka-52K models. In comparison, the Moskva was 186 meters long and displaced 11,490 tons. Journalist and documentary maker Tim White on X. It's not urgent yet, but Ukraine could do the world a favor by hitting the shipyard in Kerch. Those 2 huge warships being built are developing, though slowly. Initial sailing tests of the Ivan Rogov have been postponed to 2027, Defense Express reported, adding, and the prognoses about making it ready in time are already pessimistic. Ukraine appears to have resolved some of its shortages of troops fighting against Russia, including by widening the pool of eligible recruits, the top U.S. general in Europe said on Thursday. U.S. Army General Christopher Cavoli also underscored that any U.S. cutoff in U.S. provision of weapons and intelligence to Ukraine would be extremely harmful to its war effort, despite Kyiv's attempts to diversify its supply of weapons suppliers. The comments came after President Donald Trump temporarily cut off some assistance to Ukraine after an Oval Office blow-up with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, in which Vice President J.D. Vance complained about Kyiv's manpower shortages, and Trump said Zelensky didn't have the cards to end the war without U.S. backing. NATO can play a key role in assisting the proposed European military mission to guarantee a peaceful settlement in Ukraine, the Financial Times reported citing unnamed officials. The proposal for an international peacekeeping force has gained traction recently as European nations prepare to take a more prominent role in Ukraine's defense amid the unpredictability of further American support. NATO's command and control structures could be used to deploy a so-called reassurance force to Ukraine, under one proposal being discussed in French-led talks with the UK. 5 officials briefed on the plans and told the Financial Times.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. He's doing the job every day.